Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Discovery. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and frankly, I love Eggplant. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom on the Chronic Rift Network. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Star Trek Discoverage.
Thank you. It's been so long.
It has, and we're kind of shaking the rust off, but I'm sure we'll get back into it as we go here. How have you been?
I'm now back I'm no longer in London.
Yeah, right.
So that's how and it's my senior year of college. So that's how I am.
So it's great then. And you're oh
my God, it's fantastic.
Yeah, classes are started and everything.
Yep. So I have one filmmaking class this semester, and the rest are lib eds. So my one night class on Tuesdays is really, really saving me.
Oh, really? What night? Like what time?
It is 5:45 to 9:05.
Oh boy. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that is fun, I guess. How do you think you're doing?
I'm doing good. I actually, not to brag, but last week we turned in our 1-minute short films, and my short film was the only one that my professor didn't criticize at all. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we played it, and then when it ended, he said, oh my God, A+, I'm hooked. I want more. And I was like, I'm going to live off that compliment for the rest of the semester.
That's the kind of lack of criticism that leads to great filmmakers. Being told
surrounded
that
by yes men.
Yes, exactly. Cinematic greatness is on the way. Well, that's all good to hear, but let's get right into it because we've got a lot to cover. We're back. Here we are. It's something of a surprise. This was a little bit of a surprise that the Short Trek was dropped basically at New York City Comic-Con. We knew that they were kind of in the mix and they were on the way, but guess what? Bam, here they are.
And they're like, it's live now, and then everyone's like, oh, we have to sit through everything.
Yeah, right. But you got to watch this panel and then we'll see it later. And I think that it's, I'm glad they're back, but it's a little inconvenient for us, but here we are. It's also interesting because, they do this thing. I'm sure you've seen this as a nerd, they always want to save announcements for big events, Comic-Cons, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
They've released some trailers that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I think it's funny that they waited to release the Short Trek because we've got another one coming up like this week.
Literally. 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know why they didn't just do it last month in September. But anyway, that is my criticism of them, but that stops here. Let's talk about some of the other news that came out of NYCC, specifically the Picard trailer and the Star Trek Discovery trailer. And I guess I want your thoughts first on the Picard trailer, Star Trek Picard.
I'm very hopeful that I'm getting to the point where I'm a little worried to get my hopes up too much. But my hopes are already up. So really, I'm just trying to undo what I've already done to myself. But I'm very excited. I think that it's promising.
Yeah, I agree. Something that we've talked about, I think, on this show before that I have to continually get over is the difference in the look of Star Trek now. It's something that we sometimes malign, sometimes praise. I definitely think that all the CBS shows look great, but it's almost like being somebody, like you see those videos of a kid who learns to hear for the first time, like they give him a cochlear implant or something like that, and they're like, whoa, well, I can hear birds, I can hear this person speaking. I feel like I've been living, I've only been seeing black and white, to continue to mix metaphors. And now I'm walking out of like my house, my Kansas house, and I'm seeing The Wizard of Oz, and it's a little disorienting. Every Trek show before this has been flat lighting, ship that looks like the lobby of a hotel, and now it's all lasers and cinematic lighting and a lot of set dressing, and it's great. But at the same time, every time I see something new, I'm like, what is this? This is I'm a little overwhelmed.
I was gonna say it's the lighting and it's the colors.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
I feel like so much Star Trek has this background of like dark gray, unless they're on like a planet.
Yeah.
And now it's like the lighting's fantastic. There's color everywhere. Yeah, what you said about like lasers, like.
Or phasers.
It's
Yeah,
all
lasers
new.
or phasers. Yeah, I am really excited about it, though. Something that I think that the trailers are doing a good job of, especially this one, is giving us a sense of this cast of characters that we're going to see. Every time you do one of these Star Trek shows, you basically have to sell an audience on an all-new cast of relative unknowns. And are they going to be interesting and charismatic? And are they going to have characters? I think the answer is yes, mostly, sometimes not yes, for some Star Trek shows. But I think that this Star Trek show, I'm very interested to find out about every single one of these characters. And they give them these little mini arcs in, especially this last trailer, where you go, okay, so like, Picard is going to like the Michelle Hurd character, and he's got to get her back. You know, I need you for one last job. We've got the cigar chomping captain. Like, what's his thing? You've got the kung fu like Romulan guy. It's like, oh, what's his thing? And to me, it feels like
you mean the guy that's literally Legolas?
Yeah, right. The Legolas guy, the space elf. Yeah,
honestly.
And it feels sort of like I heard somebody on the internet say it feels like Andromeda. You know, it feels like one of those space shows. Let's say maybe Firefly, where you've got this ragtag band. And I could swear,
yes.
maybe I'm crazy here, but like I could swear that when we were on a panel when we did the live show at 2018 Convergence with Melissa Snodgrass, she was talking about wanting to do a Firefly-esque show that was set in the seedy part of the Star Trek universe, you know, where Captain Picard,
oh my God, you're right,
leads a band of ragtag people, and it's like, that's the show we're getting. She's not getting her damn red cent, I bet, for that. But all that, yeah. So anyway, all the characters seem really interesting. We've got some hooks into what looks like some interesting sort of story points here. Having the Borg be involved, having what looks like androids, like Data Soong style androids. Did you catch that in the trailer?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So yeah, we don't know what's going on with that. Whoever I don't think we know who the admiral is that Picard is talking to, but she definitely seems to. Seems to say, you know, you're something of the past, Jean-Luc. You don't belong here anymore. It's not your fight. It's not your Starfleet anymore. But he begs to differ.
Well, and that's almost what I'm excited about, is because I feel like it would be so easy for them to be like, we're going to make a Picard show, and the Picard show is Starfleet being like, Captain, we need you to come back, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
but instead, it's like, it's not just like, oh, here's, you know, Patrick Stewart on a starship. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's not like, because like Disco, we knew was going to be on like a ship every week. So there's some, even though they went a little crazy, there's some semblance of like, okay, we know sort of what's going to happen. And with Picard, I think what I'm most excited about is that it's like totally different.
Yeah, there's a shade of. It seems like the entirety of Patrick Stewart's career on television for just who am I thinking of? Captain Picard is always like, let's follow the rules, let's be good officers, and then the movies, it's all, let me get my guns out, and it's like no pips, no orders, and he's always going rogue, and it seems like that's continuing here. I don't know if we've got like a full-on Badmiral situation, but if Starfleet doesn't want him involved in the Borg thing or the android thing or whatever the central conflict is, it would seem that somebody in Starfleet is being naughty. Otherwise, you would have a show where they'd say, "Hey, come back. We need you. We need you to do this."
Yeah. I would pay good money to see Picard like you know, like slipping in and out of like Starfleet bases, just being like, "Oh, I'm just visiting," and then he's like, like going through the files.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we definitely have to get a scene where they pull up to some starbase or something, and they're like, All right, who are you? It's like, well, I'm Admiral Picard. Oh my God! Oh, come on in. Oh, sure.
Oh my God! But yeah, please. Come
It's
on.
an old code, but it checks out. Yeah, right. Well, lots of tantalizing looks there. Excited for that. That will, of course, debut on January 23rd, I think it is, of next year. And so we will definitely be covering that in the future. Quick, we'll flip over to the Discovery trailer for Discovery Season 3 that we saw. A little shorter, but also some tantalizing looks at the new landscape, literally, of Season 3.
Yeah. I feel like I just keep saying the same thing, but I'm so excited that
they're
right about to like come into their own as a show. And
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay. Okay. And like what I was saying before about how we knew that Disco was going to be on a ship every week, and now they've taken that away from us.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though they still have the ship, it's entirely different. And so I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's the real strength of Discovery is that they can break from the typical procedural that Star Trek has been. Mm-hmm. And I think it's been a real climatization problem for a lot of people expecting a bog standard
definitely.
Star Trek show. But yeah, that's the fact that they can do all this stuff is, just the general craziness, I think, was always baked into the concept of the show. There's some very interesting things that we see. We first of all, nice hair, Sonequa Martin Green as Michael Burnham.
I know, right?
Is it hard to do like those braids like on your own? I guess you had a year, but can you make like a holodeck robot or something like that to help you with your with your braids?
I have no idea. I mean, I wish that I had a holodeck robot to friggin' French braid my hair once a week when I go to work. That's hard enough.
And then her minor at the academy was cosmetology and also alien cultures. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that she will be spending time apart, looks like, from the Discovery crew for a while. We have heard about the fact that perhaps the Federation is in somewhat dire straits that far in the future. And I think we get the suggestion that, yeah, it is a shadow of what it once was, possibly even defunct. And Discovery and her crew may or may not be a part of changing that. We also see a scene in a cave in the trailer, which was confirmed, I believe, to be on the Trill homeworld. And Alex Kurtzman has said that we will be seeing the Trill homeworld and learning more about the Trill, which is all fine and good. But my thing is, if we go to the Trill homeworld and we don't see somebody Dax just running that thing, then what are we even here for?
Why'd they even make new Star Treks?
Yeah, right. I mean, if you've got a character who can possibly live forever with enough hosts, then come on, where's old Dax?
I'm hoping that since it's a little bit, it's farther away from all the time, every Star Trek we're used to. It's in the future, but I'm hoping that since they're not as close to everyone's, I feel like the original series is such a soft spot for so many people. And I feel like now that they've spaced themselves a little bit away from it, that we're going to have a little bit more of a positive year for Disco. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hope so too. Of course, even though they are going to strange new limits in time and space, they have some familiar faces as well. In terms of aliens, we've seen some very familiar races, which I think is cool. I mean, not only do I want to see what happens in the Federation in the future, but I want to see like where the Cardassians at. Where are the Morns at? We see a Morn, Lurian, in the trailer. So yeah, I want to see that type of stuff as well. So I mean, they've got a lot of territory, a lot of storytelling territory that's fresh that they can dive into, and I'd like to see them really stretch themselves and deliver something really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they how much they try to expand the Star Trek universe, or if because I feel like seasons 1 and 2 were so focused on Disco, so focused on Michael, and now I'm interested to see if they are sort of trying to really dive in. I'm losing my train of thought, but I'm interested to see how focused it is on because we've had a very sorry, it's like I'm trying to translate into Spanish in my head, but I'm not in Spanish class anymore. Like the plot line from episode 1 all the way until the end of season 2 was like one solid thing. And I'm interested to see if they keep going with that, if they're very focused on one plot line, or if they try to sort of make it a little bit bigger than that, like more universal. Yeah, like you're saying, with seeing more different kinds of aliens.
I think I think that's in the cards. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I also think that in sending them to the future, and also seeing like the Picard series, which is nominally a sequel series to TNG, but also will have characters from all of the 24th Century series. I think we're heading to like a Marvel Cinematic Universe type situation here, where you have...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, where you have the Picard show, but also here's some updates on the cast of Voyager. We're going to go to the future with Discovery to do our own thing, but we're also going to use that to fill in some of the future. Also, I'm sure things that happened in the current continuity will affect people in the future. Will be talking about those things. Like, remember when, Chancellor Worf, did something, and it has echoed through the legends and stuff. So they'll be kind of painting in that section of the canvas. And all these shows will be hopefully part of this tapestry designed to really broaden the Star Trek galaxy in general. But I want to see some cool. Where's some new aliens? Come on, the Kelpians are such a great new creation. If you're going to go way, way in the future, then come on, give us some really weird aliens.
Or I wonder if people will have heard of Discovery. Like, are they gonna be like, oh yeah, we're Discovery, or are they gonna have to try and hide? Like, if she's like, oh, I'm Michael Burnham, and someone's like, you're Mike, isn't that the same name as the girl who? And she's like, no.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. What have you heard again? Tell me the legend of Michael Burnham and if it's good or bad.
No, her name was Michelle.
Yeah, right. You've got me confused with somebody else.
My name is Michael, so it's different.
Well, we're looking forward to that. That'll be out, who knows, sometime in 2020, probably when Picard wraps up. Let's do it. Let's get into our main subject here. We've just seen the first in a new series of 6 short films set in the universe of Star Trek Discovery called Short Treks. This week we're talking about the first of Season 2, I suppose, of Short Treks. It's called Q&A. And before we start, as always, we're setting a course for the spoiler zone, so be warned, we're glad you've decided to join us. But if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. Not too much danger of that this time around, because we're a couple days out here. The official synopsis for Q&A is Ensign Spock's first day aboard the USS Enterprise doesn't go as planned when he and Number 1 are unexpectedly stuck together in a turbolift. The episode was written by Michael Chabon, author of Cavalier and Clay and Wonder Boys, amongst other works. He's also written for the screen. He's wrote for Spider-Man 2, John Carter, and he is also he's the showrunner of Picard, and he's a head writer on Picard. And he's also one of the writers, or at least last time I checked, for the upcoming Hasbro Cinematic Universe of films. So looking forward to what's coming through there. He also previously wrote the short trek Calypso, which, as we were talking about the 32nd century setting of Discovery, was introduced there. The episode is directed by Mark Pellington. He is a producer and director and sometime actor. He directed the features Arlington Road and the Mothman Prophecies, as well as various TV episodes, music videos, and documentaries. And he also provided the Baul voice in the episode The Sound of Thunder. The big...
That's horrifying.
Early creature. Yeah, that was him. This episode is dedicated to Michael Chabon's father, Robert, who's a doctor and a lawyer who passed away in April of this year. What did you think? What were your general thoughts about Q&A?
It let me down a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I felt like, to me, it felt almost like they had a few things they wanted to happen in this specific short trek, and they wrote around making those specific things happen.
Yeah.
Or something. Like the dialogue to me felt a little off.
Interesting. Just in terms of them acting out of character, or just being, like you said, we know we've got 2 or 3 beats that we need to hit, and so our characters will just sort of find themselves moving into those kind of beats in the episode?
Um, a little bit of both. I guess I would say that I didn't feel like they had really bonded to the point I think that uh we were supposed to see them bond. So like they're stuck in the turbolift for like ever, but I
Right.
didn't feel like there was like these like concrete examples of them bonding enough to then get to the point where number one is like, I saw you smiling and like I want you to feel like you can be yourself on this ship, but think about how people are going to perceive you. Like
Yeah.
kind of jumping to the end, but then to have Spock immediately be like, oh, I've been doing that my whole life and it is painful. I just felt like, they're kind of just like he's just kind of being like the annoying ensign or whatever is kind of the bit. And then
Right,
all of
yeah.
a sudden they're like having this conversation about like his like deepest, darkest secrets and all his feelings and like all his like childhood trauma. And I was just like, I don't think that we're here yet.
Yeah, it's hard. In 14 minutes, it's hard to accomplish what you're describing. That is taking two characters who,
Yeah.
in the continuity of this universe, served together for, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, 15, 16 years or whatever. And so building that bond of trust, finding a place where they identify with each other, even though they come from different places.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see on paper, it's like, yeah, so how do we do it? We're stuck in an elevator. Kind of sitcom-y,
Yeah.
but I can see how... I can see how that I can see where you're going with that, but as something that is just a 14-minute runner in this kind of short, yeah, it's tough. They took something on, and I think I agree that I'm not quite sure that they accomplished all the way.
Yeah, like well, and by the end, I actually loved by the end when they like finally like laugh together, like have that moment.
Yeah.
That moment itself felt so honest and real, and I can see them getting there. It was just like the beginning
Right.
felt like weird, and so then by the time they get there, it seemed out of place. But that when they finally get to that moment, I was like, oh my god, that's adorable. Like I just needed more. I needed number one to say something that would make Spock be like, oh, I can open up to her. Or just have her
Sure.
say something and then have a reaction shot of Spock being like, oh, like, she, like, understands or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's...
And I also don't know if it's too close to my heart, like Spock, like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm being too
yeah.
picky.
There's got to be some material, extended universe novels, books, something out there around teenage Spock. I know I've seen child Spock a couple times. We've seen kind of a young adult and an adult Spock, an old Spock. But like, what is this ensign character, this fresh out of the academy Spock? Yeah, and I'm not sure. This could have been like a B plot in an entire episode. Having it be so. Yeah, having it be so isolated, and also doing Gilbert and Sullivan again. Like this is they've already proven like that they're willing to do, say, 20th century popular music. So have her sing I don't know, Blondie or something like that. But to go back again to Gilbert and Sullivan, like what is it with classical and opera music, and especially nautical themed opera music? It was, don't get me wrong, it was like super cute. And like as a nascent and budding filmmaker yourself, I'm sure that you understand the idea of, like you said, arriving where you are, but looking back and going, well, how did the journey get us to here? Like, I believe that moment at the end, but did the steps really work to get us where we are? I have a feeling that your professor might have something to say about about the flow of dialogue and the honesty of the interactions. But again, like you and I both give Star Trek, because we love it, a lot of. I know what they were trying to do, and I accept that emotion. And as far as me going, I could see this totally being, a day in the early life of Ensign Spock. But I don't know. Did you feel like the questions that she asked were designed to communicate something specific? Because he asks about the food stuff, and we find out that I guess it's her special recipe because it's called the Una thing. And that almost seemed like, no no shade to mutual friend of ours, Una McCormick, but like it seemed like they really want to hit this thing that her name is Una, and I felt like we established that already, but they make that a whole beat. Then we have Spock ask a question specifically questioning the ethics of the Prime Directive, which I think is something that, I mean, clearly Trek explores that all the time, but I wonder if we will see Discovery explore that in the future in the same way that the previous short treks informed where we're going to go. Spock specifically asks, like, is it even ethical to follow something like a Prime Directive? And then also, this is just kind of thrown off, but like near the end of his sort of run of questions, he asks if the universe is a simulation or not.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a question Spock would ever ask?
I don't know. Like, great minds of our time have certainly asked that question. But now, if this is all the syllabus for what we can expect out of season 3, it's like, oh, now what? Like, did they really go to the 32nd century, or is it all in their minds, or something like that? Come on, don't Enterprise me again.
Oh my god. I don't know. I guess I felt like, well, and I was thinking about that because I was thinking about how much I loved the short treks from, last season, if we can call it that. Yeah. But really those short treks, they added to the season. Like like the one with Saru, like you watch that and you're like, oh my God, like like to delve into his character, to delve into Tilly's character, like was fantastic and like something we needed and didn't get a lot of time for in the Yeah, I mean, I hadn't thought about it. Questions. Had thought maybe it would feel a little bit better if we had already been watching Spock and Number One on screen together.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. That's a good. I wonder how much, because I wonder if the Prime Directive has changed, or if they're like who's using the Prime Directive. You know what I mean? Like in the future, like are they going to be like? Because it's so going that far in the, it's so out of left field, kind of. I feel like.
Well, I think there's a temporal Prime Directive where if you go back, you definitely shouldn't date Joan Collins because you're just going to be real sad when you have to throw her under a bus. But I think that it probably applies to like future travel as well. I mean, you can interfere with the future if you're from the past and you belong in the past, and it doesn't seem. That's my question about the thrust of season 3 of Discovery. Are they trying to get home, or are they satisfied living in this new place? And so I can think of two scenarios. One would be a lot of hand-wringing on Discovery's side, which is, we are not from this time. Clearly, we would like the Federation to do well and to be doing its good work in the future, but do we have the right to restore the Federation if it has gone away? And the other side of that is, did the Federation reach its point of decline in the 32nd century by maybe playing its hand too much with the Prime Directive, not interfering in some galaxy-wide disturbance because they felt like it was outside of, or violating the Prime Directive to a degree where the galaxy at large turned on them? These are my ideas.
Yes. I feel like it can't be them trying to get home, because if it's them trying to get home, it's just Voyager, but with time,
Yeah, but I mean, you could see them doing that, though, right?
I mean, yeah, but then, what was the point? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like I come on this podcast so much and I always say I have no idea, and now it's not even the middle of the night, so I can't be like, it's 3 a.m. and I have no idea what's happening.
Right, yeah.
It's mid-afternoon and I still don't know what's going on. So
to be fair, though, if you look at our record, we say we don't know, but I think we often have a good idea of where the story's flowing to.
Some good guesses.
Yeah, yes. We've made some good pulls here. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I think I'm in the same boat as you. I really like the concept. I just would have liked to have seen it done a little differently. If this was a little longer, or if you wanted to rewrite it a little, generally you have a conflict. Like the conflict or the joke is these two don't know each other. They are trapped in an elevator. They come out knowing each other. Fine. But there's not enough conflict there. If he was already on the Enterprise, it could be his first day, his second day. We see that they don't get along or that they've had something where they don't like each other, then they go into this elevator not really caring for each other and come out with a bond between them. That's just more dynamic, I think, dramatically.
That's actually a really good point, because they made so many, like, it felt like they were just hammering, like, the point of, like, oh, they're so similar. Look, they both said indeed. They both said fascinating, and they were just freaking like they were like, look at how similar they are. But it's like, okay, now? So then make them like yeah. But it's like, you're right. It would be so much more interesting if like they were too similar and they were clashing on the bridge or something, and then they happen to get stuck on the turbo lift and they have to talk. You are right.
The turbo lift is their get along shirt.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a little idea I had. I know everybody hates the great...
Oh my god, you could even cut to Pike. You could cut literally to Ansem out being like, leave him in there for a second. You know what I mean? Like, you could be like, oh, take your time. Engineering, take your time.
Right. My coffee's cold. Let's go check out the food replicator. Yeah. Everybody hates the Great Space Coaster, but like, I like the goofy turbolift thing. It's just something different. You know what I mean? Like,
me too.
Otherwise, it's just a boring tube, and you sing Farajaka as you climb up it. Like, I like the idea that we've got an engineering person. Does Lieutenant Goebbels have her crampons and stuff? We got to get somebody out of the turbolift again. Like, I kind of like that. It's funny.
Well, and it's like reminiscent of TOS, where it's like it seems so futuristic, but then at the same time, it's like sometimes it's like you just got to climb in there. You know what I mean? You got to get in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, why didn't they just beam them out? And because...
Oh my god!
Because they didn't do that back then. Usually didn't do that. So, yeah. I also liked... this has got to be an inside joke, right? That the engineer that they talked to is named Upjohn, which doesn't stand out, but is like a Welsh name. And the character had like a sort of British Isles, I think, sort of Welsh accent. I pegged on an earlier episode of Enterprising Individuals. I don't think it's actually come out yet. I was talking with author Catherine Valenti about Where No Man Has Gone Before. And if you'll remember, in the first season of TNG, there was like 4 different chief engineers. But each one of them, their name was kind of a play on being Scottish. Like one of them was McDougal. Another one was Argyle. So I think that they're kind of like going on another track here. So it's like sort of like Welshy on Futurama. Yeah. So we've got Upjohn, the Welsh engineer. Mm-hmm. Anything else? Any other thoughts about Q&A before we move on?
Can we talk about Pike?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been so long since we've gotten like new content, and then that first shot where they keep him out of focus.
Yeah.
And then it's shocking to me how much Anson Mount just is Captain Pike.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, the second he started talking, I was like, oh my god, I trust him so much and I love him, and that's the captain of the Enterprise. And he's on screen for like 10 seconds, and I was blown away.
Trust him, yeah, except he's a liar, as is Ethan Peck. We asked them if there'd be any more Discovery at shore leave, and they're like, no, we'll see. Hopefully, we'd love to do it again. Haven't heard anything. And then, of course, now they're back for a series of short treks, but I'm glad they are.
I feel that's kind of what I was like, they're gonna have something, wink, wink, nod, nod. Plus the way, just the way actors answer questions like that at conventions, I'm always like, you're hiding something. Like, there's something in there, and you're an actor, so none of us know.
Yeah, they're actors, so. You can only ask bad actors that question and get the answer you want, I guess.
You get an honest answer, yeah. They're always like, I don't know. Because Anson literally was like, if I knew anything, I wouldn't tell you, during their panel. And I was like, I know you wouldn't. And I don't know why they keep asking you this.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to give people too much hope, but at the same time, you don't want to outright lie. And I think he rode that line really well. I also, I liked seeing him too. I also, people want this Spike and Pock. Try that one out. Pike and Spock show, but I do want to keep seeing number one. Rebecca Romijn is number one as well. I like the difference, the way that they both treated Spock. Like, she's just like, yeah, I've read your file, I get it. Let's do this. And then we know that Pike is a gentle, sort of thoughtful man. And I like that his question to Spock is like, they're looking at this amazing thing on the screen, and he asks him about his culture. He's like, do Vulcans feel awe? Like, I don't mean to be, it seemed like, I don't want to be offensive, but like, do you like this?
Yeah.
It's just something that like
it was much more gentle.
Yeah. Like he'd never really run into like a Vulcan before, or never been able to like ask a Vulcan about this. And his just curious nature was just, seemed spot on for his interpretation of the character.
Yeah, well, and also right after he was like at ease, and Spock was like, "Oh, not my strong suit," and he was like, "All right, that's okay. All right,
yeah,
okay."
I don't unclench, and he's like, "Okay, all right."
He's like, "Whatever you want.
Sure.
You want to stand over there with your fist clenched the whole time? That's fine."
Yeah, fist. Yeah. Well, I think we've said pretty much all there is to say about Q&A. Enigmatic little short, but I think promising of a lot of good stuff to come. That is it for our show this week. Thanks for joining us, listeners. If you like what you hear, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EIST Pod for updates and to get notified when new episodes of both Enterprising Individuals and this show, Discoverage, are released. You can tweet to us on the show by using the hashtag Discoverage, or email us at eistpod@gmail.com. And while you are on the internet, why not go to your listening platform of choice and subscribe to our show and give us a rating and review if you think about it. It really helps us out. And if you really want to support the show, stop by our Patreon at patreon.com/EISTpod. And as always, if you like the show, tell a friend. Also, can I remind you or recommend to you one of the newest shows on the Just Enough Trope Network? That show is Backtrekking. It's a podcast where I and my co-host Gooey Fame examine the real-world inspirations of classic episodes of Star Trek. Every piece of art is inspired by something, and we look at how literature, films, TV shows, and even real-life events have shaped some of the most famous episodes of Star Trek, from Dred Scott to Die Hard. You can find us on Twitter at Backtrekking, 3Ks, BACKTREKKING, or wherever you get our podcasts. Discoverage will return in a week or so, I guess, for the next short trek. That next short trek releases on October 10th, which is my birthday, which is why we might not be recording right on October 10th, but soon after. That one is called The Trouble with Edward. In the meantime, you can check out the main show, Enterprising Individuals, at enterprisingindividuals.com. On our most recent episode of Enterprising Individuals, I spoke with Trek author and educator Kelly Fitzgerald about education and school in the Star Trek universe. Ella, as somebody who is definitely going through an educational environment right now, what do you think that education and school would be like in the 24th century as compared to now?
You know, I hunger for the ability to go to Starfleet Academy every day. And then this semester I'm taking both. I'm taking astronomy and logic, and I still have to drag myself to class every day. So yeah. I think maybe it would be cheaper, yeah. But you're still dragging yourself to class.
Yeah, that's something we talk about. Distance learning would have to definitely be a thing, but I think there's nothing takes the place of a drill sergeant yelling at you, if you're in a military organization. So I think they'd still have to attend in person Starfleet Academy. Well, Ella, thanks as always for joining us, or joining ourselves to talk about this episode. Remind people where they can find you online.
Definitely. You can find us at Generations Geek on Twitter and Instagram. And we are actually live on Stitcher now for the first time as of, I think, last week.
All right.
And coming up soon, we'll be have our own separate channel on Apple Podcasts. So that's outside of the Chronic Rift network where we were born. We'll have our own thing. So everyone should go keep an eye out, subscribe next week. And we have an upcoming episode. Let's see, what'll be out first. I think Harry Potter's out first, spooky season. So that is sort of all my like London Harry Potter stories and visiting the sets and stuff like that. And then after that will be sort of a stage episode of everything I saw, like all the plays and musicals I saw while I was in London, yeah. Including the story of me meeting Haley Atwell.
Oh, okay. Awesome. What do you think about the news that she's going to be in the next 2 Mission Impossible films?
I hadn't heard, and now I'm going to actually pay to see Mission Impossible.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Love her. Well, that's awesome. That's it for us. Thanks for listening, and we are signing off. This is Aaron for Ella saying, live long and prosper.